Do you ever think that we are in a simulation?
I've thought about that a few times. Yep.
You know how crazy that is? Like, the chances of you and I being born are so infinitesimally small that it's close to zero. The model objectively becomes better if you say please in all caps, and then you say thank you, and you...
So I've just been telling it, follow my instructions explicitly. Do what you're told. Maybe I should start incorporating that.
When the AI uprising comes, then you can be sure that you've treated it right, you know?
Well, because I'll be at the bottom of the list. I'll be put in a cage.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Yarns with Andy. Today, we're going to be talking all about AI in construction, a topic that doesn't get a lot of attention. Even if it does get a lot of attention, I mean, maybe it has been getting a little bit of attention off late, but the uptake hasn't been there in construction. Today, we've got Misha Afon and Derrick Edward. So, welcome, guys. How you guys doing?
Oh, fantastic. Thanks for having us here.
Yeah.
Living the dream.
Living the dream? Yeah, you reckon?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, nice, man.
Sarcasm, truly. Yeah.
Without sarcasm.
Yeah.
As founders, you guys are living the dream.
Living our dream, maybe. Living
Yeah.
our dream.
For sure.
Getting enough sleep?
Oh, you should ask him.
Oh, dude. Like, define sleep. Yeah.
Shut eye.
well, you know, just like, you know, two startups on the side. One is like the baby stuff. The other one is the one what we're doing with Derrick. It's almost like having two partners, you know, two separate lives.
Two different partners.
Interesting. More sleep than Misha, for sure.
Okay, interesting. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'll go with Misha first. Tell us a little bit about your short intro background, how you got to starting up an AI company.
Listen, I was always passionate about technology, and essentially when the moment came, and was back when ChatGPT got released, I saw a massive opportunity with this technology. So learning more about it, you know, bouncing the ideas of like other people. Actually, that's how I met Derrick, and that's why we all got together. But more about it later. Thought like, you know, why not go and share the insights with the world? And just started off in New Zealand. Great organization, you know, but thought, you know, this needs to be taken to a...
Great organization, but terrible stock price. But every time I invest money in Air New Zealand stock, I keep losing money. I'm like, how does this happen?
I'd suggest get in touch with Greg.
Yeah,
The CEO that doesn't
Yeah, why
exist.
not? You know, go for the head.
CEO, he's not the CEO in New Zealand anymore.
Yeah, well, for now, you know, just like, while you can catch him, I say you go for it, you know.
Oh, Christopher Luxton, he used to be the CEO earlier. I'm like, dude, where's all my money going? Straight down the drain.
Real big guns, right? Like,
Yeah, anyways. Yeah, interesting. That's an interesting start into AI. So you guys founded Harnex AI. So what do you guys actually do as part of Harnex AI?
So, probably going on a bit more of a detail of how Harnex AI started, right? So we started learning. Like, I learned a bit about GPT, then Derrick was learning a little bit more about technology. He's actually the nerd. Like, he'll talk about himself a little
I'm
bit.
the tech guy, and
Yeah.
he's the business guy. So.
Oh, you're the tech guy. Okay. Let's go with you then. How did you get involved with this guy?
So exactly, like we're talking about Air New Zealand, right? Loved working there, but the AI adoption was like enterprise, very slow to gain traction. We were experimenting with the tools, playing it, learning how to really leverage it, and we just ended up seeing each other all the time, going to the same AI meetups. During work and after work, there was a lot of like external community meetups that we went to. And I saw this guy enough to then like be like, hey, let's actually combine our learnings together, because, you know, two minds better than one. Yeah. We started doing that a bit more, and then this guy dropped the opportunity to be like, dude, you want to start something? You want to start a consultancy with this? And in that moment, I like literally said yes, because I was already thinking about doing this by myself. So combining with someone that, you know, is a completely different skill set to me seemed like the right approach.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Can I get into what is it that you actually offer the industry? As Harnex AI, what do you guys actually do? Like, say I'm a small consulting company. How can you help me?
For sure.
Yeah, you go.
Well, at its core, AI is incredibly complex if you ask so many different people. They'll give you various different definitions. What we want to do is simplify that, humanize it, and actually practically help you leverage it. So for example, if you're a small business, we actually understand who you are. We want to know you, your problems, your business, and then we will decide whether generative AI could be the solution or normal machine learning could be the solution. Whatever it is, we understand you first. Then with our expertise on what we know with AI, will then consult or educate or even build, you know, if that's the route that you want to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you guys productize it? How do you? Is it a now back to you then? You're the
Yeah.
business guy.
The business.
We'll move from the tech guy to the business guy. So how is it a service? Is it a product? Is it what do you guys offer?
Predominantly, it is a service.
It's a service, right?
It
okay.
is a service-based model. At the moment, we're also working on the product route as well.
On the what? Sorry.
On the product route as well.
Product craft. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Same as me, mate. Don't worry. We're all fucking stuck there.
So why not? There's so many hours in the day that we can spend things on, right? So we just choose to do product on the side. But essentially, yeah, it is a service route.
Yeah.
Right. And just to add to what Derrick said, right? We believe in elevating the collective knowledge of organizations. It's such a pivotal moment in our industry that unless organization at its core jumps onto it and actually starts leveraging it, it's not going to take off. It's a matter of like collective approach, collective thinking, elevating that, and actually doing something with it, right? Because we've seen how much impact it can have, right? And
we abuse AI within
we
strategic
abuse
planning.
AI.
Yeah,
and just
we don't use it.
yeah.
We abuse it.
I love that.
Well, it's mandated within my company. It's absolutely mandated. All our processes have little arrows of when AI actually intersects as part of our process.
And that is awesome to hear. Because what we've found working with our various different clients is leaders that adopt AI from the top-down approach then create a culture of an AI-centric mindset, which is ultimately the underlying success to all of the metrics that you see. This productivity, this gain, it comes from top down.
Yeah, but here's the beauty, right? So within the company, I've said we don't have to change the process. The process from where you get from point A to point B to a delivery is the same. You're not going to change that. But what you can do is you can use AI to actually enhance that entire process and fast track it.
And this is an amazing thing that you're actually mentioning, because at the core, we believe it's not about replacement. That's what we always say.
It's never about replacement.
No, it's augmenting. It's literally like enhancing your capabilities to just be a, like super villain or superhero. Like
superhero, mate. This guy went straight to super villain.
Like version of yourself, right?
He skipped the superhero bit. Like, what did you do as a kid? I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I mean, I'll give you a perfect analogy. If I took your phone away, Andy, how handicapped would you be during the day?
Very.
Will you be able to get home?
That I can. Yep. But thinking about my phone, I'd be able to get home. Yeah.
Okay, great. So not all hope is lost.
Exactly. Let me take your laptop away. Let me take your internet away. How handicapped would you be as a person to succeed within your business and help others succeed?
Zip zero. I'm dead. Dead in the water.
Cool. So generative AI is one of those transformative shifts that we're seeing again.
Agreed.
So if you're not adopting it, you're going to be the Xerox that never took on internet, or the BlackBerry that never took on the mobile phone, and you're going to die.
Or the Canon that never took on digital films.
Exactly. There's many death stories that you can talk about. So.
Yeah, the Death Valley.
No, absolutely agree. Yeah, okay. So one last question. Yeah. How are you guys finding the New Zealand market? Are you guys making money?
Ooh, good question. You start that.
Listen, I think that's it's a can of worms in my opinion, right? So,
agreed. And that's probably why I'm asking you that question.
So, probably to add to my previous story, I started in telco, right? And one thing I learned about the telco market, right, is the 3G, 4G, 5G technology. They were actually trialed in New Zealand, right? It's a perfect demographics to trial the new technology, and this is what New Zealand is actually really great about, right? New tech gets released. It's a perfect testing. It's a perfect test bed, right? Now, one thing though is that it's slow to adopt.
Very slow.
Very slow, and this is what we're finding here, right? Unless it makes a significant amount of noise, there's still going to be a lot of.
She'll be all right.
Yeah, kind of thing. We don't need to do it now. There's a lot of expression of interest, but I don't know what happened in the last month, but a lot of organizations started expressing a whole lot of interest in actually asking to do something about it, right? I don't know, maybe it's just, the economic index, whatever, maybe the GDP, it could be anything, right? But
I have a theory. I think financial year ended, they got a bunch more money to spend on training. Boards are like, you got to figure out this AI thing straight to the leaders, and now they're
Yeah.
actually thinking about it.
I've got a different theory.
Okay.
All right.
New Zealand's just waking up because we've been on holiday for 2.5 months, and it's now,
We've
added to the financial year end. We don't have any more holidays moving forward, mate. Nobody's booking 3 days to get 11 days off. We're starting work now. Finally, it's about time.
I think we've been on holiday for
Happens
the past,
every
I
year.
don't know, like, I think we've been on holiday for the last 20 years.
You reckon?
Because, well, to be honest, like we're like what, like 35% behind on OECD average, like when it comes to productivity. We're like 38% behind the US.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. As a matter of fact, I think you might have mentioned to me previously about like construction industry being growing like in productivity 0.5% like year on year. Did you actually know last year New Zealand on average had a negative 1.8% fall in productivity?
Overall or just in construction?
Overall.
Fuck.
Yeah.
There's
So
also a massive brain drain to contribute to that, and let alone like the housing market and so many other external factors combining.
Yeah.
So yeah.
They're all contributing factors,
Yeah.
but let's get back to focus, right?
Yeah.
Back to my question. Are you making money
Ooh.
as Harnex AI? How are you guys out there? Adoption's there? Uptake is there? Yes?
I think we're at the early stages. So
Yeah.
we're making enough.
Are you struggling?
No.
I wouldn't say we're struggling.
Cool. Cool. That's
we,
awesome.
We
to hear.
actually have a good problem of when we actually need to bring people in to help us grow, right? The challenge is, customers coming through. How do we churn the outcome within the next like 3 to 4 weeks, right?
Mate, hopefully, if anything, this podcast should help you launch your company, right? Let's fingers crossed.
Yeah,
eh?
so it's a good problem to have, right?
100%.
We have the services that can educate you and guide you, right? But it's how do you map the service to the problem? And unless you're a visionary leader like yourself, Andy, thinking about AI, being on top of it, and already mandating it within your company, the problem statement to a leader being like, hey, you need this because you need to be competitively up to date.
Yeah.
Your competitors doing this, you're going to die soon. It's kind of hard to like map that, and we have
Okay. On that point, I want to wrap this up, but I just cannot without asking you this question. Okay. Say I am a construction company's mid-level manager, I don't know, general manager, whoever, right? Just argument's sake. And I'm a tier 2 organization, right? Typically used to pulling out drawings, measuring them, getting quantities, that information gets stored in an Excel spreadsheet somewhere, multiple different, it grows legs, it grows arms, whatnot. Yeah. Okay. So what should that person sitting in that chair, because, I actively look at AI tools out there every day in the market. Like I get all this information pushed to me every day morning, right? My entire Google feed is filtered through only AI information, right? Okay. But the guy who's sitting in the construction office, he's not the same, right? He doesn't care about AI. He doesn't know much about it, right? How can you help that particular person very specifically?
of course.
And what should wake up in his mind to say, I need to give Harnex AI a call?
So, just so we clear something up. So, can you just maybe give a bit of a more description of like who that person is? Are we talking about
Okay,
like
so you're talking about a mid-level manager,
Okay.
all right? A mid-level manager who now works in construction.
Yep.
Okay. One, he doesn't even know his processes are inefficient. Okay. They've done this same thing for the last 20 years and they don't need to change. All right. General mentality. That's your construction mentality,
Yep.
mate. I've done this for the last 20 years. Why should I change? Generative AI is here, right? And we know the stuff that you're doing as Harnex AI can fast track his entire process. Yeah. Why should he give you a call? What should go through his mind to go, right? What can you tell him to say, give Harnex AI a call?
Cool. There are 3 things that this
There we
this
go.
manager
Okay.
should care about, right?
Yeah. Okay.
One is, can I increase my revenue? Number 2 is, can I reduce my cost or efficiency? And number 3 is, can I reduce my risk? Generative AI can 100% do all of that if you adopt the right strategies and educate yourself, right? So in that position, you're dealing with a lot of people. You have a lot of different information. And you're saying growing arms of data, growing arms of all these pools of systems. 100%.
That's normal, by the way, in
That's
construction.
normal. Yeah. Look, a human's mind is not designed to be a context manager and a cognitive load on all of those different things. AI should be the one to leverage all of that tedious work, and you should be in the driver position for complex work. And when you do that, you will see those 3 dials increase. And
Can you repeat those 3 dollars again?
efficiency will be increased, which will
Increase efficiency. Okay,
which
cool.
reduces your cost, right?
Yep.
So
Increase
revenue,
productivity.
you
Yep.
now have more space to like innovate. You have more space to be, hey, I can take on more capacity for this thing or this person that will actually increase my bottom line. And number three is risk. Like there's a lot of safety, there's a lot of compliance, there's a lot of things to go on. You can understand all of that and action it quick in order to
Interesting.
move on to the next project, secure the next client. And this is massive, right? The companies that are doing this are going to be getting all of the market share.
Funny, as you were talking, I was just running through exactly what's been happening within my company. And I can say, using AI, all those three things are true.
Awesome.
But probably also to that point as well, like why should they give us a call? Realistically, probably won't, right? Because I mean, it needs to be in their interest, right? Sometimes that's how I say it. With the best implementation that we've seen happening usually comes down, as Derrick probably mentioned earlier, right? Like right from the top, right? It needs to start with a vision, and maybe a bit of risk appetite and stuff like that.
So guys, adoption of AI in construction's not great. We know that. We've just established that, right? Okay. What are some of the things that the industry should be thinking about even before they start thinking about whether they can use AI to solve a particular problem or not? What should I be thinking about?
The biggest misconception that everyone thinks about AI is it's a genie that can solve all your problems.
Is it not?
No.
I knew the answer, but
Definitely not. But in fact can alleviate a lot of it if you use it well. And the thing is, education and why we started and founded Harnex AI was education at its core will give you the understanding of what AI is good and what it is not good at.
Yeah.
Right? And when you have that understanding of what it can and cannot do, then you'll know the tools and use cases to apply to. Because so many times we've seen companies adopt an AI tool, they've poorly understood its limitations, they've used it in areas that does not work, and they say, it's crap, I'm not going to use it. And they miss out on all of the massive gains that it could be done with the proper implementation.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
How do you stop that?
Well, that's why we created it, right? Like if you want to distill all of that information, you want to understand which tools are good for your use case, why agencies like us exist, right? But in particular, I get your point.
Yeah, probably like to your point around like especially like the tools, right? So I'm pretty sure there's a lot that's coming out like on a daily basis that are relevant to your industry, right?
Yeah. I mean, not much relevant to my industry, but yeah.
Well, maybe you just don't know about it. That's the
Well,
thing.
I mean,
There's like
yeah.
tons of things like pouring out left, right,
It's
center, right?
changing every day, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a new tool coming out every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
on multiple. Yeah.
Like, and at the end of the day, you might get that whole analysis paralysis situation, right? Thinking like, oh, maybe we should be doing this, maybe we should be doing that. Ends up happening that you just choose not to use anything, right? And which is not ideal situation to be in, right? So this is where perhaps we're actually also working with us. It actually helps because we can actually tell you like what's relevant, right? Because at the end of the day, if you go through this analysis paralysis, choose not to adopt anything, right? Then you will be left behind. Right?
Yep. Agreed. Yeah. Okay. So now let's flip that switch a little bit, right? Okay. So I know most construction companies are worried about what I'm going to ask you as well, right?
Okay.
So say I use DeepSeek for instance. Let's take DeepSeek as an example. And I go, right, I'm committing data to a chat box. Yeah. But I don't know where my data is going. I don't know what's happening to my data, who's storing my data, and what they're doing with my data. Data security is a big thing in the industry. Within construction, at least, it's huge, right? So how do we get over that problem to go, right, your data is actually secure? So that's probably why most construction companies are going, you can only use Copilot. You can't do anything else. But you know what the truth is, mate? That guy has got a chat GPT box open there and he's dragging stuff into it, right? Which is happening, whether the companies like it or not. It's happening. So when it comes to data securities, what are your thoughts around that?
Oh, massive.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean,
and back to analysis paralysis, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's be real here.
Okay, let's go.
You can, if your like employees want to use the GPT, they will use GPT.
They are doing it.
They are doing it exactly,
Yes.
and there's nothing you can do to stop them.
Yes.
But there are things that you can do to prevent them from doing it, right? So obviously suggesting what you should and shouldn't be putting in, or maybe like evaluating this elevating this problem by saying like, just this is the way you can actually take out all the PII, the private data. Maybe you should also have a chat to them and understand why is it they're using this particular tool and what's the use case for this tool, right? Because that will solve like a lot of the answer a lot of the questions as to like how this tool can potentially be useful. Because at the end of the day, right? What are some of the critical things for any tool to have is the SOC 2 compliance, the HIPAA compliance, for providing you in the medical field, right? Like the eyes and essentially having these sort of like certifications can suggest that it is safe to use. I don't know, like Derrick, if you want to add like something on top of that.
I think like you've got a lot of knowledge about it, and I think at its core, if I was to simplify it, it is just don't put any personal information into an AI chatbot, because what you're doing with DeepSeek is you're choosing whether to go to a Chinese server, or when you put it in ChatGPT, you're choosing whether to go to the US server.
Yeah.
And you have no control if you're using a free chatbot. When it's free, you're paying with your information.
That's how the machine language is being trained. Yeah.
Right. So
that's the training data.
remove that information. When you start paying, or even in free models, there are options to switch off data training. So the only thing that you can decide is you don't want your data to be trained for future models. But whether the data is stored on their servers or not is not up to you, unless you have enterprise level agreements. And we're not going to be out here and say pay $100 per person, minimum 150, because that's a massive amount of capital to deploy without even understanding what generative AI is. So at its core, what I'd recommend, what Misha perfectly said is, and this is backed by every report, 75 to 80% of your employees are using generative AI.
Yeah.
Just teach them on what to put in and what not to put in. And then engage with us whether you actually want, or another person, or even do your research online. We're not saying always come to us. Like, just do your research on what is compliance, so what he was talking about. Like, what is SOC 2 compliance, which is zero data retention? What is HIPAA, which is the industry? Like, all of these things will come into play after. Just simple. Don't put in...
So how many companies do you think out there would actually sit down and go, right, we've actually educated our employees on what should go on a chatbot and what shouldn't go on a chatbot? Isn't that an interesting thing? Like, how many companies do you think out there have actually thought about it?
I don't know.
It's
that'll be an interesting. Yeah, it is really rare because I mean I'm a small medium-sized company. You know what I mean. Any of our generated information, I'm like, yeah, feel free to chuck it into the chatbot, no problem. Like, you've drafted up an email, you want to make it sound better. Yeah, let's go. You've got a trained bot out there that's going to rewrite that email for you. Go fucking gold, right? Confidential information. Yeah, maybe schematics for a data center. Probably don't put that in there. Like, yeah.
There's a very embedded risk that you have to understand. When you're using your data to train future models, just imagine the next person putting a prompt in is now going to get a response based on the data that you enter.
Interesting.
Right?
Which is true.
That's the risk of future training AI models. And the risk of storing your data on a server is there's a cybersecurity rule. It's not a matter of if a breach will happen, it's a matter of
when.
So when a data breach happens to you, do you want your Andy's schematics, all of your personal information, all of your agents, all of this leaked out for the black market to consume and then use that as competitive advantage? So these are the risks. So once you clearly lay it out, you're like, oh crap, I'm not going to put that stuff anymore, right? It's massive.
Or if there's a serious breach, would you like it to be traced back to you?
Yeah. Okay. So this is interesting, right? So these are some of the risks I'm sure construction companies would be thinking about before they actually adopt AI, right? How do they now protect themselves?
Well, in simple terms, education is key.
Education of your employees.
Education of how to use generative AI effectively.
What if the guy on the top or the mid-level managers don't even know how to use generative AI? How are they going to protect themselves?
Well, that's a matter of sometimes you can't, if it's not coming from top down, there's only so much that one can do, right? Your employees are already doing it.
Yeah,
so if you're a
that's no secret.
If you're a CTO of a company and your employees are already doing it, do you care about the risk that is being created with what we just talked about, or do you not? And if you care about it, then you're going to do something about it. If not, then we can't help.
Yeah. Well, and to be honest, sometimes it's just a matter of just, pay the price. Pay for something that's secure. Right?
Yeah, like we do. Yeah.
Yeah, but then at the end of the day, hey, it's treat it as an investment and get your people using the tool. Like leverage as much as you can out of it. Because once they start doing it, the results will be there. Like the one client that we've actually worked with, we've had like averaging 10% productivity quarter on quarter, right? And it's just absolutely, and those guys are doing amazing stuff with how much more productive they actually become, right? But they've invested, yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, they don't have an enterprise plan. They have teams, which is actually just as sufficient, right? So you don't need.
You mean Copilot?
No, ChatGPT, for example.
ChatGPT or Claude.
Claude.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've got the same thing.
Nice.
I've got the enterprise version of
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Cool.
So and
I signed up early and I got it on a deal.
oh, nice.
Legend.
I'm still only paid.
Invest early.
Exactly.
You know?
I only pay $25 a user, which is like fucking awesome for me.
Shit, that's excellent.
There is one aspect of data privacy
Yes.
that we're mitigating, that we're on top of. The only problem is the technology isn't there yet. So we are talking about local models that can run on your phone and your MacBook.
Oh yeah, like the llama models.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So these are open source, they can run. The only problem is if you want pure privacy and you want sustainability, which means you're not hitting a prompt which is going all the way to a server, doing a
which
bunch
is
of compute, bunch of like electricity to then drain.
So then it's just using my computer's GPU to process the information with the stored model in my computer.
It's not there yet though.
Yeah.
Oh well, I've tried a few of those, Like I've tried a few of those. I mean, I'm a little bit like you guys too. I'm like, that's shiny, that's new. I'm gonna give it a go.
So
let's try that.
What was your thought?
Yeah.
On what?
On
Just
local models.
Local models.
I don't think it was as efficient as ChatGPT enterprise version because as soon as normally this is how I go through the notions, right? Okay, I start with that ChatGPT enterprise version. I'm like, but here's the funny thing: ChatGPT knows fucking everything.
Yeah.
it's like fucking biased. Like I'm just like, come on, mate. Like you're not giving me the right answers. So then I go take the same prompt. I go to either Perplexity, I go to Claude, I go to Notebook LM, and I'm trying each one of those, right? And then I actually cross compare the answers that I've got from ChatGPT. And then normally what I'm doing is I'm actually combining information from different models to whether it go to my report or whether it goes to my email. It's a combination of multiple different things. Like I know every model's biased. Yeah, there's massive biases in each model. But the problem is I don't know where those biases lie, because I didn't train the model. I'm not, So I'm like, okay, so why don't I just use all the tools available to me? And then my last resort, I go to DeepSeek. like I said, I don't want to send my information to China, but if I do have to, and it's a tool available to me that's going to help me be smarter, faster, better, I'll give it a go. As long as I'm not breaching any massive,
For sure.
data rules or whatnot.
But even within Perplexity yourself, you can use DeepSeek, right? Like
Yeah,
you
that's
choose
right.
the
You can
different
choose the
models
different
to
models.
there's
Yeah.
various different ways. Yeah.
Yeah, but the local models, like you said, I don't think they're there yet. And I'm just like, it's taking up too much space in my computer. So I'm like,
Exactly.
I'm like, 100 gig or whatever. I'm like, why is way too much of information? And my system starts like, the fans start running and starts heating up. I'm like, here we go.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nah, but interesting though. That's really cool insights into, data security. And I hope, the construction industry takes a few insights from this conversation that we just had about data security and insights. Guys, let's have a quick chat about the human AI collaboration, right? Okay. So this is real interesting and I'm really passionate about this. So say I've got ChatGPT suggest a fix on a construction site. Yeah. Number one, should I be acting on it without actually cross-checking the validity of that information?
You go first because...
So I have a personal rule, and Misha follows the same. It's any AI output that is generated must be verified. And once it's verified and it's actioned by you, you own that decision.
Interesting.
And so you, as of now, right? So you as the individual should verify AI outputs and take the action. But I'll give you an example. Instead of you relying on its output blindly, ask it to generate 10 different ways of solving the problem, and use your domain knowledge and your intuition about it to make a decision. ChatGPT and AI systems are a perfect intern with perfect recall but terrible judgment. So you're not going to give an AI system
Power.
action to judge.
Power and
Yeah,
autonomy
yeah, exactly.
over everything I do. Yeah, I agree.
You own that decision.
Okay.
Let it be a perfect.
Okay. Now let me take this one step further. Right? Okay. So we just spoke about generative AI, which is great. Okay. So you put in a prompt and say, "Hey, ChatGPT, how should I do this?" And you're saying, ask it to give you 10 different ways of doing it. That's cool. I understand that. And use the domain knowledge. Now let's say hypothetically we moved on from generative AI to agentic AI. Okay. The agentic AI now gets a cost forecast completely wrong. Okay. It's a cost forecast generative AI. No, it's an interesting scenario,
it's
right?
Massive. I'm just
Okay.
thinking, yeah.
Right. So say the job of this agentic AI is to get me a cost forecast of everything that's outstanding to build. Give me a cost forecast. Done. All right. Fucks it up completely. Right. Okay. Now that report is now being pulled in by multiple BI systems and being presented. Right. Whose fault is it? Is it the developer's fault? As in it's your guy's fault, or is it the foreman's fault? I don't know. Is it the GPT's fault? Whose is it? Where does the blame lie?
Okay, let me ask you a question, right?
Go on.
So first, what would happen if the same mistake was made by a human? And second, how much are you paying for the tool that actually created this forecast?
Okay, so step one, if it was a human, he's showing up to a PCG meeting and actually backing those numbers up, right? Okay, There is a human you can hold accountable and actually ask questions as to what went wrong, where it went wrong, how did you fuck it up, right? Okay.
Okay.
What was the second question?
And the second one is like, how much are you paying for the tool that generates these?
Oh, the AI agent.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. AI agents are hot off the press, so your guess is as good as mine, I suppose.
Because there's
I'm talking about a hypothetical scenario, right?
Exactly. But you see, that's a thing. It matters because one of the scenarios that we look into the future, right, is like you might be paying for, like $1,000 a year or like $500 a year for AI tool, right? But for example, if you start paying like 50 grand a year, so think about an agent as a full-time employee that is capable of more than just a single task. It's actually like real autonomous.
But the money you paid is not going to determine whether it's a full-time employee, right? The model it leverages off and its capabilities and what it can actually, what actions it can perform is what would qualify it as a full AI agent that's replacing human. I mean, whether I pay it $10 or whether I pay it $100 or $50,000, that's almost immaterial.
Yeah, that's true. But like with higher price, you would expect like a certain outcome, right?
Yeah. not necessarily, but yeah.
Let's just have this hypothetical where you've
Yeah.
got an AI agent.
Yes.
And it's doing this task, and
Yeah.
there's a certain point in the task that it fails at. Okay. The pricing of AI agents is a complex topic that hasn't even figured out.
I don't want to talk about it. That's crazy.
That's massive. But I hope that in this agentic workflow, there are human in the loop checks that can happen, right? So if you have a zero, like predict this price forecast, it predicts it, then it uses that as input to the next, where then it generates a report, and then that report generates a presentation, and then you take that presentation deck to your SLT.
So then you hold the people who are validating the data accountable for pushing it to the next part of the process.
I'm just saying, I hope that agentic systems have human-in-the-loop checks to prevent this, because there's no way, unless an AI agent is so sophisticated, and I will never say never, in the future where it can accurately predict this, you can't trust it. So you have to have those three workflow points, have the human-in-the-loop double check the price, to then send it to the report generator.
Agreed.
Then the report generator, double check that it didn't hallucinate the previous calculation. And then the report deck. And then when you're at the point in which you're delivering, you own it and you're confident. That's what it should be. But
that's really cool. I mean, that's my status quo, right? Anything that ChatGPT or any agentic AI, generative AI, Gen AI produces, any information that it produces, I'm like, my first thought process is, I need to triple check if this is actually right. Right? I mean, like you said, use my domain knowledge and go, right, is it smoking pot or is it not? Right? That's normal.
Yeah. But Misha raises a perfect point about price, because what we're seeing in industry is that when an AI model is incredibly sophisticated and has some complex engineering in the background to orchestrate an agentic framework, then it most likely will infer a cost. And that cost is proportional. So we're seeing if you pay $1,000 per month for an agentic solution, it'll be less hallucinatory and more automated. And so that's the whole.
So hence the cost comes into play.
That's why.
Exactly.
So are you paying $50,000 for the state-of-the-art agentic system that is backed by the AI providers to then give you 98% accuracy? Then yeah, you're using a system that doesn't need as much checks. But if you're using a $10 model and then doing the same process, then expect hallucinations. You know, it's like that was the whole cost thing.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, right? Like it's at the end of the day, I think there was a survey done on this, right? So like if let's just say a human has a success rate of 70%, right, of like doing some sort of prediction, but AI system has like a 95% accurate rate. If the human gets it wrong, you just maybe like gets slap on the wrist, like gets
Go back and fix it.
Go back and fix it, right? Like which you can actually do with AI exactly the same thing. You know, you just can give it like extra, thought ideas, so you can go back.
Additional prompts and whatnot. Yeah.
But you can have the AI system that can actually be like 95% accurate. But man, people will criticize the shit out of it. So like, oh man, this is shit. It's like, hold on, but it's 95% accurate.
Hang on, mate. Of course I would. Because the fucking thing doesn't have emotions, does it? It's not a human being. I can't hurt its feelings. Like, I think the Sam from OpenAI, Sam Altman said as well. Apparently they waste millions and millions of dollars in computing power because people say please and thank you to
but
fucking
it does
ChatGPT.
produce a better result.
Does it?
It actually does.
He's basing it off a paper called emotional prompting.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, we studied the research papers behind these techniques as well. So like well informed. We're just not your average Joe just claiming things. We actually go down to the deep level, and for some weird reason, the model objectively becomes better if you say, this is imperative for my career, this is important, please, in all caps, and then you say thank you and you start being polite with it, and it will produce better results. Yeah.
So I've just been telling it, follow my instructions explicitly, do what you're told. Like, there's no please and thank you. I've got my please and thank yous up, but maybe I should start incorporating that.
Sounds like you're a bit of a bastard.
Well, I'll
Hey, when the AI uprising comes, then you can be sure that you've treated it right,
Well, because I'll be at the bottom of the list. I'll be put in a cage.
Yeah.
Fucking Terminator style. Get rid of this guy first. Let's get rid of this Andy guy who never told please and thank you. Oh,
It
man.
just shows you the scale in which people are using ChatGPT, because the please and thank you is only one prompt. And if one prompt is a cost of a few cents, over 400 million active users per month, of course it's costing them $1 million.
Oh, multi-million dollars. Yeah.
It's massive.
That is massive.
I actually have a question for you, Andy.
Oh, you do? Come on, mate. I'm all ears. I was going to wrap up, but now I'll wait.
No, just very important. Because
Very
it's
important. Oh, cool.
Yeah, okay, I'm a new father, right? So like,
Yeah.
I'm still experiencing, I'm still learning. Your girls, how
I have 2 children.
Yep.
I have Sid and Divya, 7 years and, let me get this right, almost 3. Yeah.
7-3. So all right, so like literally 5 years before they become teenagers, right, and start really like tackling like the gadgets.
I don't like this guy anymore. Remind me when they
because it's going to be important. They're going to be adopting all this technology, right? And technology is going to be augmenting them, right? So all of a sudden,
100%.
They're no longer going to need to have that like very special skill because they know that technology will be there to support them. What sort of skills like you reckon your kids will need to have in like say next to develop for the next 10 to 15 years of their life?
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Like my wife and I talk about this quite a bit.
Yeah.
When do they get a phone?
Yeah.
It's been a real touchy subject. My son's in year 3, he's 7 years old, and he wants a phone.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his class,
Not
not all, some do,
yeah.
not all. All right, but anyways, but what skills? Let's come back to skills, right? He needs the technology available to him to use it.
Of course.
But what I really want to do is actually prep him for when he has access to that technology. But I also want him to teach him to use that technology for good, right? Because you can abuse that technology, I'm sure you guys can jailbreak an entire.
Yeah.
Let's not go to jailbreak, but you don't want to teach him to do that. But then how do you teach him the right skills? So for me, it's predominantly prompting, but prompting with a purpose, You know, why are you going to use AI and for what you're going to use AI to solve a problem. But even before all of that, he needs all his fundamentals set right without all of this technology.
Yeah. Critical thinking.
It's not just critical thinking. Let's start with basic math.
Yeah.
Let's start with English, grammar. You know, I need him to, because I'll keep all that technology away and just go, like, you get your fundamentals right, buddy. Because without your fundamentals, you're fucked. You've got nothing. Then when you have those fundamentals, it's about how to nurture that curious mind in a pathway that is going to lead him to use this technology for good. So we've started him on basic coding.
Nice.
Like absolute just basic coding.
Awesome.
It's this little game where he has to get this frog to actually cross from this side of the river to that side of the river. But now he's got to find ways to cross different obstacles to get him to the other point. Cool. It's just about small steps, incremental steps, about things that he likes doing. But then there's also Roblox added in the mix. You know what I mean? So I'm like, dude.
That's a simulation in itself, Roblox.
Oh, mate, like, I didn't know much about Roblox. I fucking got into Roblox and I'm like, oh my God, this is wild. This is wild. Like my 7-year-old son loves Roblox. And he didn't get that for free, right? So for 7 days straight, 21 days straight, he had to finish 7 tasks every day, right? He had to finish his math. He had to finish his English, his essay writing. He practiced his drums. There was 3 other things, right? 7 things. And if he missed 1 day, he'd have to restart his 21 days all over again.
Ooh, nice.
Okay, my logic was pretty simple there. My logic is consistency and you have resilience. Okay. So I think he got to like day 6 and he didn't finish 1 task. Mate, he cried himself to bed because I said, mate, you are starting from day 1 all over again if you want Roblox. Guess what? He fucking started from day 1 all over again. Nice. It's the resilience that I'm talking about. The kids these days just give up too easily. I don't want my child to give up easily. I mean, things are not easy. Nothing's easy in life, right? And if you don't try and keep trying, like I started this podcast, right? Okay, mate, for like the first 10 episodes, I was like, fuck, I don't even know anybody's listening to it. Like, I still don't know, by the way. Like, I'm just like who's listening to this? But I'm like, no, I'm just gonna stick with it and just keep going, see where it goes. Like, you know, I think that has power in itself. Like, how do we instill all of these skills into our children? I think is going to be huge. And those soft skills, those critical thinking skills, all of that, prompting with a purpose.
He's got a good mindset.
It's a good mindset because so now you're saying that this is something that you want to actually teach your kids. Fundamentally, that means the skill or the need for it is not going to go away.
Yeah.
So essentially, you know, like people should be starting now. As a matter of fact, you know, any of us like thinking that this is going to be a fundamental skill for the future. We should be learning it now ourselves because at the end of the day,
absolutely,
they're going to be looking at us, you know, and they're going to be asking us for guidance. So it just makes sense.
But he also talks to Zena. So my chat GPT bot is called Zena.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, she's called Zena for whatever reason. I struggled to actually explain to him what selfishness meant the other day.
Oh.
Yeah. So apparently he got given a little gift voucher. Okay, which he was allowed to spend in Westfield, right? So he said, "Oh, I'm going to buy Baby D a little toy, and then I'm going to buy Amma, which is mother, a bubble tea, and then I'm going to buy myself whatever I want with the remaining money." So he went there and decided that everything else is too expensive, so he just got himself what he wanted. So I had to explain to him, like, buddy, that was being really selfish of you. You said you do something, you haven't done it, but you're being really selfish about, you know, all of this. He said, what's selfishness? I sat there and I'm going, fuck, how do I explain this to a child? So here's what I did, all right? So I pulled up my phone, okay? Pulled up Zena, which is my chat bot, put her on voice mode, and explained the whole scenario to her. And I said, Sid's with me, and I need you to now explain to Sid in ways that he'd understand what selfishness actually means. Okay? She gave examples and all of that. Now I said, put Sid in different scenarios, okay? And tell him to tell you how not to be selfish.
Nice. And it functioned pretty well.
Mate, incredible, right? Like, this was mind-blowing. Even for me, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, oh, okay, that's really good.
Parenting my kid.
Yeah, like Zena's parenting my kid. And then I didn't stop there, though. Yeah. I went further and I said, okay, now you're going to give him a very short quiz, okay, about 5 questions with multiple choices, and he's going to tell you how not to be selfish. Now you go ask my son what being selfish means, and he'll actually give you a full proper explanation. Like, I don't think I could have done that myself. Damn. You know what I mean?
See, right there, you're talking about a different modality. So you're talking about prompting, right?
Yeah.
So prompting is what, text? Voice mode is actually a futuristic trend where you're just naturally conversing in dictation with an AI system. So, maybe it's just learning to communicate yourself effectively, and that would be all you need.
Possibly, mate. Who knows what the future holds for us? But yeah, I don't know. Those are some of the skills I'll probably teach Sid. But anyways, I think we're running out of time here. Guys, thank you so much for your time. Like, this has been a crazy episode. Like, I love this conversation. Like, I genuinely enjoyed this conversation. We should probably have you guys back for round 2 at some point.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe when you're a multi-million-dollar company, like changing the fucking world, I'd love to have you guys back. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
But before we wrap up, I want to quick shout out to my first sponsor. All right. This episode has actually been sponsored by Elemental QS, Daniel Small, great QS. Check him out. We'll see some logos. Yay, I'm getting my first sponsorship. Maybe you guys should come back and sponsor me later. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.